I discovered my wife had been emotionally abusing me for years, and when I finally gathered the courage to leave, her own family told me they'd been waiting for this moment my entire marriage. For 5 years, I thought I was living in a loving marriage, my wife supporting us financially while I pursued nursing school, sharing quiet mornings over coffee, her hand in mine during movie nights, those moments when she'd smile and tell me she loved me, and I believed we were building something beautiful together. She'd bring me lunch during study sessions, surprise me with my favorite takeout after long clinical days, curl up next to me when I was stressed about exams, her fingers running through my hair as she whispered that everything would be okay, and in those moments, she felt like my safe harbor in the storm of school and life. But there were cracks I kept explaining away, the way she'd snap when I didn't do chores fast enough, her voice rising when I mentioned being tired, the subtle eye rolls when I'd share something about my day, how she'd go silent for hours if I forgot to take out the trash. And I kept telling myself that everyone has bad days, that stress makes people react differently, that love means accepting someone's flaws. Last month, the mask finally slipped completely when I came home from a particularly brutal clinical rotation, exhausted and overwhelmed, and she immediately started yelling about dishes in the sink, her voice escalating to screaming, calling me useless, worthless, telling me I was a failure as a husband, and when I started shaking from the verbal assault, literally trembling from fear, she looked at me with disgust and called me a bitch, telling me to get upstairs like I was some kind of animal. That night, lying in bed while she slept peacefully beside me, I couldn't stop my hands from shaking, couldn't understand how someone who claimed to love me could make me feel so small, so terrified in my own home. The breaking point came when I watched her hit my 11-year-old dog, the companion who'd been with me through college, through my father's death last summer, through every major moment of my adult life, and when his eyes started blinking strangely with yellow discharge, she just shrugged and said, "He's fine," but when I gently suggested she didn't need to hit him, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "I can do whatever the fuck I want," and in that moment, I realized I was living with someone who felt entitled to hurt anything weaker than her. Then came the phone invasion, discovering she'd gone through my messages where I'd reached out to her own family for advice, desperate to understand how to help her, how to save our marriage, and when I confronted her about the breach of privacy, she first lied, then admitted it, then somehow made me the villain for seeking support, demanding I never tell her family she knew about our conversations, and I felt like I was losing my mind, questioning my own reality. When I finally worked up the courage to call her mother, sister, and brother, expecting them to defend her, to tell me I was overreacting, they all said the same devastating thing, that she's been like this her entire life, explosive and cruel and unwilling to change, that they'd been forced to put her in therapy as a teenager but she'd sworn it off forever. And her sister actually said, "We've been wondering when you'd finally reach your breaking point," like they'd been watching me drown for years. Last week, I sat her down and told her I wanted a divorce, my voice shaking but determined, and she cycled through every emotion, first begging, then screaming, then threatening to take everything, then crying about wasting 5 years of her life, but never once acknowledging the pain she'd caused, never once taking responsibility for the fear I felt every time I heard her car in the driveway, and I realized that even in our ending, she could only think about herself. Now I'm staying with my mom temporarily, my dog safe beside me, no longer jumping at every sound or walking on eggshells in my own home, and while I feel guilty for the marriage failing, for not being the perfect husband she demanded, I'm slowly remembering what it feels like to breathe without fear, to exist without constant criticism, and I'm learning that love should never, ever make you shake with terror in your own kitchen. Here are some comments from the community and OP's responses. Comment 1, I'm curious to know what their response to you was. Has she always been so severely emotionally unregulated, or is this recent? I used to be easy to anger, though never to this level. I got a good tea. OP's response, her family says that she's been like this her whole life and that she has sworn off therapy or medication because it was forced upon her as a teenager. Comment 2, I hope she gets hold of your phone and reads the 20k responses you're about to get about how quickly you need to divorce her. OP's response, well, she has checked my phone before without me knowing. She checked my messages and saw that I was asking her family on advice on how to help her or deal with her. She got upset. Comment 3, are you only staying because she's currently paying for your schooling and everything else? OP's response, no, she's not paying for schooling. It's already paid for by my parents. She just covers our bills and utilities. Even the house we live in is owned by my parents. My dad passed away last summer, but I know that if I ask my mom for help financially she will still gladly give it. Comment 4, great. So kick her out. OP's response, maybe you're right. But why do I feel guilty for even thinking this?